everyone. This is Ariel Meredith, the Client Service Director at Dental Nachos. My coworker Branden and I, who I think we accidentally demoted Branden from panelists, so we need to get him back on.
Hey.
Awesome. Hey, Branden, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Loving this rainy Philadelphia Saturday. What could be better than rain and city streets, concrete, and no trees or anything fun? So, but happy to be at Super Dennis Boost with everybody. I'm loving the red carpet as always. We had a great time yesterday. Excuse me. Interviewing and getting to know some awesome VIP guests. We're going to do the same thing today. For those who haven't seen me before or don't know me, I'm Branden Hill. I'm the Director of Strategic Growth with Dental Nachos. I help the Dental Nachos world with all things that could help a dentist, their practice, or their career get to the next level. And one of those things is helping learn about some cool key resources that have blessed our group with their expertise and their services. So we're going to get to meet a couple of those people today. Who do we have with us today, Ariel?
We have Al from Fluency Security and Michael from Merchant Advocate joining us today.
Good morning.
Morning, Al.
Coming to you from nice foggy Central Texas. At least we're not minus 15 degrees below zero like we were last week with the wind chills.
That's what I was going to say. You know, we're glad you're a little better off than things probably were a week or so ago. So good to have you, Al. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It looks like we also have another guest. It's like we have Michael with us today, right? Hey, Michael from Merchant Advocate.
That's correct. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? And thank you for having us.
Excellent. Doing great. Hope you are too. Now, where are you calling from or watching from?
So New Jersey, right by Long Beach Island, and I'm looking at the comments on the chat box. Yes, it's a rainy day over here.
Rainy day all over. Rainy
Yep.
day all over the East Coast. So I mean, this is really cool. So you guys both represent key resources and companies that have been helping dentists, but also specifically dentists in the Dental Nachos world. We'll kind of, I guess since Al popped on first, we'll interview Al first. We'll let you kind of drop back, Michael, and we'll ask Al some questions about what he does to help the world of dentistry. So Al, tell us about yourself and tell us about the company that you represent.
So I've been around the block a few years. I guess the gray hair can kind of allude to that. But in the whole IT industry, 40 plus years, and currently work for a cybersecurity company called Fluency Security. And basically our goal, Branden and Ariel, is to bring to the dentist the ability to be able to sleep at night, not to have to worry about the massive investments of both time and dollars and resources, right, to get the practice going and to sustain it, and worry about getting breached, right? Ransomware is one of the nastiest words out there today. And what you have to think about is, if I get breached and I get ransomware and they lock up all of my data files, it doesn't matter if it's in the cloud, it doesn't matter if it's on premise, can I still practice my business? And as you will have seen in an earlier video from Dr. Paul, is that the answer is no, it shuts you down. And then so what's the cost of having the ability to not practice business on a daily basis? And so we bring that peace of mind and that comfort to dental practices to say, we have your back. We're going to watch your business 7/24, 365 and make sure that you don't get impacted by any type of a breach that may occur.
I mean, that's awesome. And I mean, you can't do it, I can't do it. No one can stress the importance of cybersecurity and making sure that you're protected. I mean, this world in cybersecurity, I mean, it's a criminal world, and the way that some of these people behave is just like criminals, but, without the violence. I mean, tell us a little bit more about ransomware and how that's used and what it can actually do financially to impact the practice.
Yeah, definitely. So ransomware is typically, let's say, the weakest link in any cybersecurity environment for any business is us, people. Just recently, just this week, and in fact, yesterday, we had 2 of our clients where their employees clicked on phishing emails. Well, guess what? You click on a phishing email that seems legitimate, that's been spoofed, right? Make to look real. And next thing you know, you've downloaded malware. Well, you've just introduced that into your system, and all of a sudden, all of your files get locked up. They get encoded to a point where you can't read them anymore. And so what you want to be able to do is still access that data, but you can't. And again, it doesn't matter if it's in the cloud or if it's local, right? That data gets scrambled up and you can't use it. And if you can't use your data, how you going to book appointments? How you going to bill insurance companies, right? How you going to look at, dental impressions from x-rays that are in the cloud and things like that. So this ransomware comes in mainly through a phishing technique, emails, albeit sometimes people get hacked, right? They can break through the barriers. But the most important piece to remember is you got to train your people. That's number one. Number two, you got to have the ability to have something stop that malware dead in its tracks. And if you do get infected and you have a Windows machine, you want the ability with that protection to roll back as much as 24 hours and restore those files so you can continue your business. So when you take all of this together and look at this ransomware, right? Because once they lock your files, they're coming after you, Branden, right? And Ariel, you may be, as an example, a client of Branden's, and all of a sudden they're coming after you now. IBM's latest X-Force report on threat intelligence just noted a substantial increase where ransomware people are no longer just locking up your data, but they're stealing the data and they're going after your patients and holding them hostage for ransom too.
That's it sounds scary, but it really is. I thank you for explaining that, Alan. And I like talking to people in the IT world because this is a world of dentists, and often dentists, and Paul jokes about it all the time, and talking about patient communication and not trying to speak like a dentist because the layperson doesn't understand what you're talking about. That's, I think, is a concern for everyone who's not in IT. Sometimes we know it's serious, we know bad things can happen, but we don't know about it. We don't understand all the lingo. We don't understand the terminology. And I think one of the things that made us excited to have you as a key resource is the fact that what you're really doing is the way you're protecting these practices and these small businesses is you're bringing them the level of protection that usually a large company or an enterprise company would have access to, right?
You're absolutely on point, Branden. It's unfortunate for many of American small businesses. They can't access these heavy-duty industrial-grade components that are needed to do this level of protection because you got to buy maybe 50 or 100 licenses at a time. Well, if you only have 10 machines in your practice or 20 machines, you don't need to spend all that extra money just on that one component. So it's really important to emphasize that point again. You're bringing industrial-grade, enterprise-level capability to the small business with what we're doing. I do want to make one other point, Branden, that's very, very important. Many practices will say, hey, I've got my IT guy. Hey, my IT guy has given me an antivirus. Oh man, I've got a firewall. I'm protected. Oh, wait a minute. I'm doing penetration testing. Nobody can get through my firewall. Well, guess what? We just talked about the weakest link is the human being and responding to phishing emails. None of that's going to protect you. None of that. And that's where we differentiate ourselves with this solution for the practices. We want to make sure that you have all of that protection outside in and inside out with what we do.
Right. So what's the next step for a dental practice right now? Like what's the first thing that they should do?
Well, I would encourage them to go to nachos.fluencysecurity.com, as was put onto the chat window, and simply fill out the request form, and we will have a no-cost discussion. It really will only take minutes to understand your environment. And then from there, if the practices are interested, we're offering for the Dental Nachos community a 30-day no-cost trial of our solution, where we simply work with you to get your data into our tools and our people, and we show you where you have exposures, what issues you probably were not aware of that you need to be aware of.
That's great. Thanks so much, Al. So you heard it, everybody. It's easy. It's a no-brainer. Just find out. Go to the link that we put in the chat, that the Nacho team has put in the chat. get your consultation with Al and the Fluency team. And then if you like it and you feel like he can help you, which I'm pretty sure he can, he'll even offering you a 30-day free trial of his services as being part of the Nacho Bro. So Al, sit tight for a minute. You can fall back. We're going to talk to Michael for a second. We're going to bring you on back again in the end. Thanks so much for that, Al.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, coming to the stage. How you doing, Michael?
Doing well, Branden. How about yourself?
Awesome. I love logos in the background, as you can see. We do the same thing around here at Dental Nachos. So thanks for joining us today, Michael. Tell us about who you are and what company you're from.
Sure. So I'm Michael Dringus. I'm the National Business Development Director for Merchant Advocate. And it's interesting because whenever you hear the words merchant services or credit card processing, there tends to be this feeling of angst because it truly is a pain point for practices as a whole, for really all business types, because every single time you go to accept funds, the system that's designed to help you do so is also designed to take pieces of your transaction, right? So it's one of those environments where you have people coming into a practice saying, hey, switch to my credit card processing company, will save you some money. But the reality is a switch might not be in the practice's best interest. Sometimes there's integrated technology. There might be an EMR system or a practice management system that requires a specific vendor to be used, or the experience with merchant services may have just been so terrible that even the thought of switching providers can be so daunting. They're just like, no, we're going to leave it be. So what Merchant Advocate does is we actually help practices by protecting their bottom line. We lower that cost of credit card acceptance, but they don't switch. They stay with their provider. They stay with their equipment. So everything that they have in place stays in place, but what changes is the amount of money that's siphoned off of every transaction. So our team, we go in, we do a full forensic review of the merchant statements. We identify areas of opportunity, and not just on the processing side. There is a whole regulated side from Visa and MasterCard where practice could have perfect rates with their processor, but if something's fundamentally flawed in the coding or the data flow, they could still be paying too much. So our team, we take a deep dive forensic review of the merchant statements and we fix all areas. And if there's some exaggerated markups, we work with the processor to bring them down. If there's coding errors, which we find in medical as a whole quite commonly, we repair those coding errors because every one of those errors costs the practice more. If there's mathematical issues, we really challenge all the details. But the takeaway is we save you money without you having to switch. And the beauty of the program is it's completely self-funded. There's no out-of-pocket expense. We simply create savings and then we share in a portion of that success that we've created for our clients. So the net effect is our clients experience more money in their bank account every single month as a result of our ongoing efforts. And it's not just the one and done. We bring the rates to the bottom. We know that rates do go up about 4 times per year. So every month our team is reviewing those details. And when we see an anomaly or we see an increase or we see an error, we're catching it and bringing that cost back down. So our clients stay with us pretty much indefinitely because we get the cost of credit card acceptance to the bottom and we keep it there.
That is awesome. And you talked about, we're always asking what our key resources do to help reduce stress for a dentist. And you talked about 2 points. You talked about the stress of just the fact that, the credit card processing fees is just a necessary part of every practice's operation costs, right? But the other issue is that there's no shortage of phone calls, sales people coming and trying to offer the next best, credit card processor to the dentist. And even if a dentist doesn't like what they're paying or the service that they're getting, it's a pain to change. And I think that's the beauty of what you guys do, which is totally different. You're not competing with their provider. You're just helping the dentist, the dental office, keep those costs down. So you even avoid the biggest pain, which is switching, which I love. This is Merchant Advocate's been a key resource and sponsor everybody for a while. They're one of the original nacho brainers of the dental nachos world. It's one of those things where have them do the analysis. They can either help you or they'll say, hey, you guys are perfect. And, there's not much we can do for you right now. But having somebody on your side working for you when it comes to keeping your credit card processing fees down is just something that it's just so easy for everybody to do. Did you any other questions that you wanted to ask, Ariel?
No, I don't.
How do people reach you, Michael, if they want to, take advantage of your service?
Sure. So they go straight to merchantadvocate.com. Actually, if they go to merchantadvocate.com/dental nachos, there is a unique landing page set up for all Dental Nachos members, and they can just fill out their contact information. We can upload some merchant statements and take a look. As you had mentioned, there really is no downside. If we look at an account, if they're in good shape and there's no real savings, we'll give the client some complimentary feedback, some complimentary consultation, but we won't really engage. We'll recommend that a few months down the road, maybe they send the statements again, because those rates do go up 3 to 4 times per year. But if there is savings, again, there's no work required from the client. We do all the work. We do all the heavy lifting. We work on that account. We create the savings. They benefit with more money in their pocket every single month, and we keep going. But yes, merchantadvocate.com/dental nachos. I will also type my contact information into the chat box so everybody has it. Email is mdringus@merchantadvocate.com, and I'll put my cell phone up there for everybody too.
Michael, thank you so much. And like you said, that's a nacho brainer. The information is in the chat. I encourage everybody to check that out. Al, if you want to hop back on again for some final thoughts that we can ask you.
I am here, sir.
Thanks, Al. We just want to kind of ask both of you before you go, any final thoughts for the audience, as well as what you may have learned today from the other company today? I'll start with you, Al.
Well, again, I just want to reinforce what you were saying, Branden, earlier, and that is, what you don't know can, in fact, and will, in fact, hurt you. You've got to have that visibility as to what's happening, and it's so critical that you do that to protect your practice and protect your patients. And don't forget, when you have that level of security, you can instill that level of comfort into your patients so that they feel confident when they come into your practice that their data is private and will remain private and won't go out on the web for sale.
Awesome. Any final thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, I just want to resonate what Al was saying. In the merchant service world, I believe in 2016, there was the impact of security breaches was $142 billion. It's quite a substantial number, right? So I do agree. It's very, very important to have everything inspected, scrutinized, and have that error prevention, so to speak. We see it with merchant services all the time. A free piece of advice for everybody: if you're not PCI compliant, you get that monthly bill that charges you. It says, "Hey, you're not PCI compliant." Do your PCI compliance, because what happens if there is a breach and you're not PCI compliant, you're accountable. You could be held liable. When you do your PCI compliance survey for your merchant service provider, then at that point, it shifts the liability right back to the merchant service provider instead of on yourself. So we're really looking forward to helping everybody. Again, we'll take a look at your account. We'll look at all the details. There is no proprietary information on a merchant statement. There's no credit card numbers. There's no patient names. So there's no concerns about HIPAA or privacy or data in that regard. It's just a roll-up report that shows us pretty much numbers, how many different transactions on a specific card type. But we're here to help. Al, it's certainly a pleasure hearing about your business as well. And yeah, thank you, Branden. Thank you, Ariel.
Thank you both. Thank you both. You guys enjoy the rest of the show. Everybody, we're going to keep this pre-show going. There'll be, some information going on in the chat, as well as some information about Dental Nachos in the world. You'll see our video in the background. Ask any questions that you have in the chat. Michael and Al are going to be hanging around a little bit there as well. If you can catch them while they're there, and enjoy Super Dentist Boost. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.